Hey guys, well I got started on a project today that has nothing to do with cars. It's a mobile greenhouse. Thought maybe this would be interesting for some of you out there, for those of us who are staying home for COVID-19, or in my case, another broken foot. So what I've got is a 48-inch wide piece of plywood, or OSB, and it was just a piece of a scrap that I had, and we cut it off. And then I say we, my wife did most of the work here as far as getting everything cut, and then I've just kind of been assembling it all. And then I've added some scrap 2x6, which are actually old form boards from when I was building doing the concrete on my shop. So it's all reclaimed there. And then what I've got is some PVC end caps. And I drilled a hole in the bottom of each of these. As you can see, and it's just a hole big enough that I can put a deck screw through, and then I'm going to line these up on the inside edge of this long 2x6, and I'm going to do 3 bows, and these are what capture the bows. And then I've got some of these trays with the squares about 2 inch by 2 inch, and we measured this out the size it is so that we can lay 3 of these trays lengthwise and 2 widthwise. And then really you only need like 46 inches plus the, or 43 inches plus then the width of your 2x material. You don't need 2x6, 2x4 would work. It's just what I had scrapped. Since my wife was doing the sawing and the measuring and helping me, other than what I can crawl around and do, we just made it to where we only had to do 1 cut across the sheet of plywood that we had, or the partial sheet. So anyway, those are going to lay up there. These are going to screw in, 1 on each end and 1 on the sides. And the reason I'm putting them to the inside edge is I found some other scraps. And what we can do is then we can screw this down when we'll cover the whole thing in plastic, and then this will screw down to hold the plastic down, so that the plastic's not constantly tearing up. And then this whole thing is just sitting on a metal cart that actually my father-in-law made who knows how long ago. It's been around forever, and it's been sitting in my shops and different shops around the county for years and years. Anyway, it's probably 18 by 36 or so. So I just use that as a platform so I can roll it in and out of the garage. So on good weather days, we can get a lot of sun to it, and then on days where it turns cold, or it's beginning of April still, so could run into snow yet. I mean, we've already had, just last week we had snow again. So, and what I did to attach it is I screwed the framework together, and then I screwed up through the bottom from the plywood into the 2x6s. And then I put 2 blocks, just 12 inches long underneath, and the top of this cart is expanded metal. And I screwed through the plywood into the block so that this is attached to the cart. So once everything's moving and you're moving it back and forth, it's not sliding off of the cart or something. It's part of the cart temporarily, at least. So that's the project. That's where I'm at. Wish I'd have captured it a little earlier, but it didn't even occur to me that it might be interesting to some of you. But I know I looked on the internet for some ideas for some mobile carts, and I saw somebody doing a garden with these hoops I'm going to make, but I hadn't seen anything mobile. And that's what I needed here, because I'm trying to start this in early April, and typically our growing season doesn't start till mid-May, early June, depending on the year. So I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff screwed down, and in the meantime I'll just kind of put you on time lapse so you just kind of see what's going on. On a recent run to Lowe's, to get these 1/2-inch end caps, I also picked up 5 sticks of 1/2-inch PVC, and they're 4 foot long. And I just picked them up in the 4 foot long. They're a little more expensive buying them this way. I probably spent an extra $2 or something versus buying 10-foot sticks. But I I didn't need all that other, and we were in my wife's car, so putting a 10-foot stick, it will fit, but you have to lay it up on the dash, and she didn't like that stuff laying all over her car. So had we taken a truck or whatever, it would have been easier to go with the longer sticks. But this is going to be easy enough to manage. And then additionally, what I picked up is some 3/4 inch tees that are 3/4 by half. So these can go, as I build my hoops, these can go over them because the 3/4 will slide over, so I don't have to cut and glue a whole bunch of pieces. The bows I want to make are going to be made out of this 1/2 inch, and we want it to flex. And then once you have it flexed over, you can put one on each end at the top, and then put a stringer between them. And what I'll do is put 2 in the middle, and then offset for that. So I have 4 3/4 by 1/2 inch tees, 6 of the 1/2 inch caps, and I screwed these down, but they're just loose enough that they'll move just a little bit, they'll wiggle. And then I have, like I said, 5 sticks, 4 foot long of 1/2 inch PVC. So the next thing is we need to know how long these need to be to make this. We could go and try and bend this, and it's going to have to sit in the sun. It's going to have to be warm to put that much of a bend in it, and we may have to actually take a heat gun and heat it up enough to get it to bend that far. If you're doing something 10-foot span, there's plenty of flex in it. When you're doing something that's only 2 foot, this is pretty tight, and I don't want it to break in the process. So it'll be easier just to lay them in the sun and see if we can get enough bend out of them that way. If not, we'll use a heat gun and heat them up, and then we can bend them to whatever shape we want. The trick here is we need to know the radius. So if we measure, this is 27 inches outside to outside. So center of our caps is 23.5, which would be, if this was a full circle that we were making, this would be a 23.5 inch diameter circle. So 23.5 divided by 2 is going to be our radius. Comes out to 11 3/4 inch. And then to know how long it is from here to here, keeping a smooth radius, you can go back to geometry, and the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, and that would be 2 times 3.14 or whatever times r, the radius, in our case 11 3/4. Well, we don't need a whole circle, we only need half a circle, so we would divide that whole thing, 2 pi r divided by 2, the 2's divide out, so really our equation is pi r, or pi times r, pi times 11.75, which is, so 11.75 times 3.14, which is close enough for us. So our hoop, our half length here, is 36.895, so we're going to round that up, call it 37 inches. So we need 37 inches to go from here to here and to have a smooth, continuous arc. So we'll go out and cut 3 of these down to 37 inches on my chop saw, and then we'll lay them in the sun and let these things heat up and see if we can get enough bend out of them without having to put them in a heat gun, or put a heat gun to them. So let me go get them cut, and I'll be back. So right now, I've got those pieces of PVC cut, and they're out there sitting in the sun. I'm going to go ahead and lay out some of the rest of this. And I have one more item coming. I think it was going to get here today, and that's a electric pad or blanket. For those who used to have a water bed, same kind of thing that went underneath the water bed to keep the water hot. And it's waterproof, but we'll lay that in here, and so on the days that it's too cold, or at night if it's getting cold, I can plug that in, turn it on, and keep the inside of this greenhouse warm. And because the plants are basically sitting on it, it shares all that warmth across them. I've never tried any of this before. Maybe 30 years ago or something, I tried raising some plants from seeds. I remember doing it once, I just don't remember how it even went, so, and I haven't done it since. So, but because not going to be at work for a while anyway, and I have the time to make sure the plants get in and out of the sun on a regular basis, I figured now would be a great time to play with it. So this is way more plants than we're going to use, but we'll share some with some neighbors, and then my mother and father-in-law, the same father-in-law that built the cart, we'll share some with them. Mostly these are going to be some tomatoes and some herbs, and some onions. I like fresh onions, so I'm going to try a couple different varieties of those. And then this bag contains, I just ordered all this off of Amazon, so I'll put links on there in case you guys are interested. This contains these seed starter bricks. You put this in a bucket with water, and it expands out and gives you, I think one of these should do enough for most of these trays, but I bought 3 of them because they were $1.49 each, and I didn't want to run short. But 3 of these is supposed to be the equivalent of 4 bags of the small bags of gardening material, and those were like $4 a bag versus $1.50 a brick. So thought, what the heck, I can put it in a bucket and add water. So we'll see. Dehydrated dirt, I guess. And then I also bought just some clear plastic drop cloth that can go over all this, and we'll have those little sides to staple down the plastic. So really, it's just about it. It's a pretty simple project, mostly because I already had the cart. And but you could do this on my original thought was maybe I'd put it on a pallet and then just use a pallet jack to drag it in and out, because I have one of those. But it's whatever, anything that's got wheels that you can move it around so that it's protected. Now, if you're down in Phoenix or wherever, you probably started your garden 2 months ago. But I'm just trying to get a jump start on it this year and not spend several $100s in buying plants to fill our garden with. So go check on that PVC, and as soon as it's warm, I'll get back with you. Okay, guys, these have been sitting outside for about 20 minutes, and they are they're certainly above the room temperature in the garage right now, but they are not warm. So I went in, got a heat gun, and yes, it's a cheap one from Harbor Freight, but I've had good luck with them. So actually have 2, and I don't use them that much, mostly electrical stuff, but we're going to heat this all up and then see if we can't put this bend in it. I don't know if any of you have ever tried it, but I've put PVC in places, and then you had to, there's something in the way, and you could either cut it and put a whole bunch of 45s or 90s or whatever, or I've done this before. I've heated it up and just got it just pliable enough you can start to move it, and I've put actual S's in it, or actual loops, half hooks or whatever, to go around a piece of pipe that was sticking into the way that it couldn't be moved. Basically the PVC I was putting in needed to be the piece that moved, and you just have to take your time. If you get it too hot too fast, you can collapse it, you can burn it. But I've had pretty good luck over the years just heating it up, and especially in something like this where you're not ever going to be putting pressure on it after the fact, so it doesn't matter. Pretty sure this is Schedule 40 PVC, which is thick, which again probably overkill, but that's what they had in the short sticks. I didn't even check to see if Lowe's had like 10-foot sticks in the thinner stuff, the thin wall. When it gets warm enough that you don't really want to be hanging on to it, that's probably when we can start to put this bend in it. And I think on a good warm day, lay this down against, especially if you can lay it across the roof or the bed in the bed of the truck with a bed liner, where you get that nice black bed liner and keeps everything up. I think you could do this in just 15 or 20 minutes of sitting outside. But it's about 65 degrees so far today, and the sun's out. It's just not hot enough heat this up real good. Got a spot right here that's not wanting to bend, and a spot right here that's not. The middle really wants to go. So we'll heat up, you can already see, we'll heat up those two areas, and I'm going to get some gloves. There again, pretty darn close. And so I got some areas a little too soft. Process. I'm going to turn that camera off. This took about 10 minutes per hoop to heat up, and I tried with this one, I tried heating the whole hoop up and then trying to get it to flex smoothly. You end up with cold spots, which is how you get these flat spots, and then it would try and kind of wiggle, you know, so I kept having to reheat it. So this one probably took me 15 minutes. Then the next thing I tried was heating it in sections and bending it. And it took about 10 minutes. It's not real straight, you know, this way, but it doesn't really matter. It's just got to keep plastic off the plants. And then the third try, I stuck one end into one of the caps, and I would heat up about 6 to 8 inches at a time and just kind of roll it over. And that seemed to work the best. It was the quickest, and it gave me maybe not quite the smoothest curve, but pretty close. There's one flat spot right here, which I could probably heat that again and kind of pull up on it, and I know there's a flat spot down here. So probably what I have to do is heat this area and this area, and then kind of pull here and push so that it would kind of be smoother. But again, it doesn't matter. This isn't for plumbing purposes. This is just to hold plastic up. So that's all done. Then I slid a couple of these T's down, and I measured with these standing basically vertically, the distance between here, and I cut pieces of pipe. So one's going to go in there, one's going to go in here, and we're going to set one of them just a little off center that way, and then we'll do another one at the back, and then I'll probably go ahead and put a screw in on each side just to hold them in place. Be just a little off center that way, and now that keeps everything spaced even so that this thing can't collapse out or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and drill, pre-drill a couple holes here, and then I'll run a couple of screws in, and then we'll be ready to add the plastic. Sturdy. Nothing has to be glued together, so at the end of the season, or the end of, once we're done using this as a greenhouse, I can pull the hoops off, stack everything inside, and then next season all I gotta do is buy some new plastic bins, and they come 10 in a package. The way I did this was 6. For those of you who are interested in why I had 5 pieces of pipe, well, my original thinking was this was going to be more like 48 by 48. And then I figured out how many plants I could get started in here. And even if I lose half, I'm still going to have so many plants that we're just not going to need that many. So as these start getting taller and bigger, and we'll move them into bigger pots, we'll kind of thin them out, deciding on which ones are the healthiest. So I think what I've got left is to go ahead and lay the plastic. And I'm gonna hook the plastic on 3 sides, and then I'm gonna leave one side so I can kind of open and close it to get in here to water the stuff. So as I do that, I'll go ahead and make some way to kind of temporary attach this, or make it to where it's weighted down to where it just, that's probably what I'll do, is just make it to where one side is weighted down so that it seals it up really well, but is not completely sealed where I can't get in and out to water and check on the plants. It for the building of it. Next we just got to plan everything. And I said I wanted to make one side where I could open it up and work on it and close everything down. And what I found was this size, it just really wasn't feasible. So what I've done instead was to just double up on the plastic here, and I can get in water stuff. I'll probably end up trimming this plastic here and here so this will fold up a little higher. But I did that on both ends, and then the wood I hope is heavy enough to basically keep it sealed for the most part. We'll see. It's the first time I ever tried to do a greenhouse, and you know, perfect world, you lay plastic over it, and you know, like a 2-ply plastic window kind of product, not plexiglass, but something of that nature, and make a hinge and make a door. I'm not interested in doing all that to try this. So right now I'm into this for about, I can return the 2 pieces of PVC we didn't need. So with the fittings and the 3 pieces that we used and the pieces I cut off of these to get the right length were only a 1/2 inch too long for this, so I just trimmed those. So I have basically 22 inches of extra material, and I can return those 2. I have the 6 cap fittings, 4 T's. I had the screws, I had the lumber, I did order the plastic. So I'm probably into this for $12 so far. The trays, the dirt, and the seeds. The seeds are actually going to be the most expensive part, I think. I did go and get a bunch of those, so I have a lot of seeds. And anyway, so next up I will get in here, get my trays out, get the dirt, you know, undehydrated, rehydrated, I guess would be the proper word. Get the dirt rehydrated and start filling trays, and then go ahead and get some seeds planted. And it's already getting windy today, so that's kind of why I wanted this thing to be mobile, because if I just went out and put it in the garden, I'm not real mobile for getting in and out of rough areas because I'm either on crutches or this cart. But this I can roll in and out, or my wife can roll it in and out, and I can basically doctor it sitting here in the shade and not in the sun, and then roll it out for every morning and bring it back in every evening. Okay, the instructions say to add 4.5 quarts, so a little over a gallon of water, and then watch this brick expand. So that's what we're going to do. It says it'll take 2 minutes, but obviously I'm not going to make you guys watch it for 2 minutes like me. There's one clump right there, and there's still a little bit of water down in the bottom. Yeah, well, unfortunately, my heating pad thing that's supposed to go on the bottom of this didn't arrive yet. It was supposed to be here this week, and I think it's sitting at the post office, but it's too late in the day to go get it. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in there and kind of arrange everything. I've already got the seeds in them. We bought way more seeds than we needed, but and then I put labels on each of the bins. Turn that around. So I put a label on each of the bins, and then wherever they're sitting, I'm just going to tape or staple or something this to the side of the cart so we have a backup for all that. But they're all planted, and that expanding soil doesn't go quite as far as they make you believe, but it's really pretty cool. It holds the water really well, so when you start, your dirt's already moist and already wet, so you don't really have to add water, it looks like, at least not today. And then I went ahead and broke open all 3, but I barely used any out of the 3rd one, and mostly it's just been to kind of fill in the voids. Probably if I'd have been a little careful the first one and maybe not tried to fill all these up to the top. One brick will do like 3 of these trays, and had I probably been smarter, I would have filled these about half to a little over half full, put my seeds in on all of them, and then put some more dirt over the top. Instead of, I went back and kind of poked my finger down and, well, that's kind of compressing the dirt, which I don't know that that's, I'm not doing a whole lot of that, but I don't think it's going to be too bad for the seeds. I certainly wouldn't have needed to crack open the 3rd brick had I not done that and then needed to fill that in. So anyway, I'm going to get these placed in the greenhouse, and when the pad gets here, we'll take out as many as we need to get everything. Well, we'll have to take them all out. Onions on the other side, and that's it for this. And it's nice and warm still. We've got about another 2 hours of daylight, so I'm going to go ahead and get this rolled outside for the first time. Check in on this project, I don't know, once every week or two, or at least wait for the first check-in. We'll check in to see if it's actually doing its job. It's condensating water, staying warm in there, that kind of thing, and then we can kind of watch and see what the plants do. So this will just be an extra episode every now and then, and we'll see what it does between now and mid-May when it's time to try and start putting some plants in the ground. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and maybe learned a little trick or two. Even if you're not making this, you saw how you could heat up and bend some PVC that, like I said, I've used it that way for years, mostly irrigation stuff where I've got to go around some other pipe or whatever, and I don't want to go buy one of the fancy U-bends. I just I just heat it up and make my own. It takes 10 minutes instead of an hour to drive to town and back. So.
And one last thing for the weekend, I want to thank you all for watching, but most importantly, I want to thank Jesus for giving us the opportunity to watch this and to be together, even in this small way, and for his sacrifice. And I want to wish you a happy Easter. I hope you're together with as much of your family as possible. Please stay safe, and we'll see you again next week. Happy Easter.